Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sobriety Bestie. This video is about my second ever meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. If you haven't already, you might want to watch my first meeting of AA to see how that went, and this is my second meeting. My second meeting of AA was October 29th, 2009, so quite a bit of time ago. That was the night that I got out of rehab. So I went to my first meeting, and maybe you saw that video or you paused this and you watched it and you came back. Welcome back. Because I felt inspired by that speaker I felt like I related to his feelings a little bit. I felt inspired to go to one more meeting, although it was really, really difficult. So I flew from LA to San Francisco to get home from rehab. I managed to not drink on the plane home, which was difficult, right? I always either took a benzo or drank on flights. Strategically planned my flight schedule around when it would be socially appropriate to drink in public, for real. And so I flew back to San Francisco. I got to my apartment around 4 p.m. and I Googled up meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, and there was one at 7:15 p.m., not too far, maybe a 8-minute walk from my house. So I had it in my mind that maybe I would go to that meeting, that maybe there was something there for me, or I would at least check out one meeting, even though I didn't relate at all to the term alcoholic, and I didn't want to go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I just didn't know what to do. All my friends were probably out drinking that night. It was a Thursday night, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to hang out with, what to do with myself. I just didn't know how to be sober, I guess. And I was scared. I just left 30 days of rehab. I wanted to stay in rehab longer, but it was expensive. So I decided I would go home and just, reintegrate into life. Walked down to that meeting for that 7:15 meeting, and it was so messed up because when I got there, I realized that so there's an intersection, right? There's an intersection. AA was on one corner, the meeting house, and right across the street and across this street, so we call it kitty corner, but diagonally, I could see it. So I'm looking at the door to Alcoholics Anonymous, which I don't want to walk into. I don't want to go to this cult, this religious cult. I felt like it was a religious cult and I didn't want to be a part of it. I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't relate to the term alcoholic or alcoholism. And I'm looking across the street, diagonally across the street, and I could see the bar that I used to go to on Thursday nights. And it was a Thursday night. And I'm looking in there, and I know if I walk into that bar, the bartender is going to be like, "Hey, what's up?" and put my drink down. I just know it because that was where I used to go, right? And my friends are likely in there. It looked really fun, and it almost like it was shimmering like a Christmas tree, or I don't know, exciting. And I looked at what looked like fun, and then I looked at this religious cult, and I was just like, man, what am I gonna do? And I was at that point where it was I could go this way, or I could go this way with my life, with tonight. It was really just one decision at that point, but it felt like I was making a life, I was at a turning point, right? And because rehab, that felt really expensive. That is really expensive. It's a lot of money, And so it's do I walk into the bar or do I walk into this religious cult? It wasn't easy to walk into the religious cult, right? To walk into Alcoholics Anonymous. Finally, I decide, okay, I'm not gonna go tonight. I'm just gonna go to one meeting. I'm just gonna go to this one meeting tonight, and that's it. And if I want to go to that bar tomorrow night, I'll go to that bar tomorrow night. But I'm gonna go to AA tonight. I'm just gonna try AA tonight. I can't get drunk the night I get out of rehab. I can't be that person. I can't do that. And I'm not throwing out shame to anybody who does do that. I get it. I really wanted to walk into the bar. So I went into the religious cult called Alcoholics Anonymous. This is my mindset at the time. And right away, I don't know if I was clearly having an anxiety attack or sweating or shaking or whatever, but everyone's like, "Are you new?" How do they know? And it looked like I saw this woman and this man. They were laughing at this table, having a coffee, and I was like, they look like younger, and that I would be friends with them, and and she ended up becoming my first really good sober friend, right? But they look like they're having a good time. Why are they here in this religious cult? And then somebody else came up and was like, "Oh, you're new. Here's a meeting schedule." She circled all these meetings that I should go to that she loved, and I go to this one. I love this one. And then people were really kind, and I really liked that. I really needed that. It hit my soul. The kindness of the people really hit my soul. So then we go into the meeting room, and it's packed. There is no chairs left. There are people sitting on the floor. And that woman that was talking to the dude, and when I first walked in, she ended up saying, hey, you know, you're just out of rehab, right? Like, take my seat, I'll sit on the floor. I was like, whoa, like that was like, I was blown away by her kindness. So I sat in her seat, she sat on the floor for the entire hour. And then when we were leaving, it turns out she lived kind of near me. So we shared a cab home. She's like, don't worry about it. And she paid for it. And that, like, it really touched me, you know, like her kindness really, really touched me. I didn't know anybody who didn't drink. And so I wanted to hang out with her more. And she said, why don't you meet me tomorrow at a meeting? Didn't have a job at the time. I was unemployed, just fresh out of rehab, right? So I did. I met her the next morning for, we went to a meeting, and then we went to a cafe. And I wanted to talk to her like as friends. And she's reading out of me from like the Alcoholics Anonymous book. And I felt like, damn it, like I kind of wanted to get drunk with her. Honestly, I kind of wanted to get drunk with her. Like I thought she was cool. I wanted to hang out with her. I wanted to like learn about sobriety and stuff. But it did feel weird. Like she's reading, it did feel like a religious cult. She's like, I want to like ask her about her life, and she's like reading me from these like this spiritual text. What really felt good about that second meeting was like the first meeting I related to the feelings of the guy, and the second meeting it was the kindness. Like I just needed the kindness. I had been to hell and back. I wasn't back from hell yet. I was still in hell. Like I was in hell. And so, you know, I had almost died. I didn't want to go to AA. I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't want to call myself an alcoholic. I didn't want to join a religious cult. I didn't want to be in a cult at all. I didn't want to be brainwashed. I didn't want to read from a religious or spiritual text. I didn't know the difference. I didn't know what spirituality was really. But they were kind. She was kind. And I was out of options. So, yeah, it was the kindness that like really like did something for my soul. Like, so I'm not sure where you're at on your journey, whether you're sober or are you just curious about one chick's experience with Alcoholics Anonymous at her second meeting. There is no right or wrong way to do life. There is no right path. There is no one path. There is no one way. Anybody who does say that, like, be suspicious, right? There are many ways, you know, like there are many ways to climb up the mountain, right? As they say, like in just different spiritual texts and stuff. So I think it's important to find a place that we feel like at home. Like if you're wondering if you should go to Alcoholics Anonymous or not, I don't know. I don't recommend it. I don't not recommend it, right? Like I think it's a very personal decision, like how you choose to do recovery if you're in recovery. And if you're facing addiction and you want to get sober, I think it's very personal, you know, like alcoholism isn't even a diagnosis. Like it's not like the diagnosis in the DSM-5, which is where they diagnose like mental conditions and stuff. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum condition. So that goes from mild alcohol use disorder to moderate to severe. And so depending upon where you're at on the spectrum of your relationship with alcohol or whatever you're doing, right, there could be a different solution for you. Like I probably was on the severe side. I was almost dying, right? Like I almost died. That's why I had the humility to finally give up. That's why I surrendered. Because it was like I either go to rehab or I die. That's really what I was faced with. And I felt the same way when I got out of rehab. Like if I don't cling on to something, even if it's a religious cult, I might freaking die. Like that was my reality. And so not everybody's in that reality. And so only you know where you're at. And I hope that like, if you are watching this because you're trying to consider like what is your path to recovery or sobriety or what are the options, there are a lot more options now. I'm recording this video in 2022. Like what year is it? It was 13 years ago that I went to rehab. So, and 13 years ago that I had my second meeting in Alcoholics Anonymous. So trust yourself, have a supportive friend, you know, that can help you make these decisions and help you figure out what's best for you, do research. And I think, you know, community was really important for me to be able to stay sober, and Alcoholics Anonymous provided that. There's certainly other communities as well. So I have a feeling that when I post these videos about Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm going to get a lot of like, you know, a lot of bullshit in the comments because I think the topic could be really triggering for people. You know, like if you're in it or if you're not in it. All right. That's enough out of me. I hope you enjoyed this video on my second ever meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. Let me know what you think in the comments. And no matter where you're at on your journey, I wish you much peace and freedom in your healing journey. And really, I think it's about the journey of finding out who we are and why we're here. I'll see you in the next video.